This podcast is produced and managed by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab, Australia's independent video and podcast company. We do the podcasting hard bits so you don't have to. We make podcasts easy. Book a call at www.kangaroofern.com. www.kangaroofern.com.
Have you ever felt a time when you felt that you were not in your A game and you felt that nothing ever works out the way you want it to be? Emotions are most times one topic we seldom talk about with ourselves, with our friends, even with our kids. And no wonder when things are rough, we are uncomfortable and we are challenged in dealing with them. Today, we're going to talk about ways to deal with frustration towards our creative work. You are listening to episode 21 of Wellness Friday with Coach Joy Karen.
Let's talk well-being and mental health. Whether you're an aspiring coach, content creator, or podcaster, you need to take care of yourself as well. Wellness Friday with Coach Joy Karen.
Have you ever felt a time when you felt that you were not in your A game and you felt that nothing ever works out the way you want it to be? Emotions are most times one topic we seldom talk about with ourselves, with our friends, even with our kids. And no wonder when things are rough, we are uncomfortable and we are challenged in dealing with them. Today, we're going to talk about ways to deal with frustration towards our creative work. What's up, pod friends? This is me, Joy Karen, your creativity coach. This show, Wellness Friday, is a weekly show created for podcasters and content creators. This show aims to talk about creativity, inspiration, and overall well-being so you can keep on doing what you love most. First, let me thank my podcast management group, Miko of Kangaroo Fern Media Lab, and to your amazing team for this platform and for the opportunity to spread the spark of creativity all over. So more and more people will do what they love most as they #sparkle within. How do you deal with frustration? Let me share with you a story when I was assisting my niece on her first day of online class. As I was guiding her on how to navigate through the apps she needed to use, I felt her frustration swell to the highest level. Her eyes were welling up as she pushed through the obstacles of online learning. Even if she was just in 7th grade, we all know this feeling very well. The feeling is very familiar with all of us, even as adults, most especially as content creators. The feeling of frustration can get the best of us. And I hope with this episode, it will remind you that it doesn't have to be that way at all times. Sumner Redstone said, "Success is not built on success. It is built on failure. It is built on frustration. And sometimes it's built on catastrophe." I love how this quote perfectly said and clearly state, with no fluff, and it's straight to the point, that frustration builds success. Dealing with nasty emotions such as anger, frustration, guilt, fear, and many others are a taboo when I was growing up. Most times I was told just to brush it off. If I'm about to cry, my parents would say, "Don't cry." If I lash out of anger, I was grounded. I was reprimanded for being angry. Emotions are most times one topic we seldom talk about to our kids. And no wonder when they grow up as adults, they encounter a lot of challenges in dealing with these kinds of emotions. These emotions, we have 7 major emotions. And to consider all of these 7, only one of them is positive, which is joy. So what are these emotions? It's joy or happiness, that's the positive one. And there's sadness, disgust, fear, surprise, and anger. So imagine if you're not familiar with how to deal with the other six emotions, resistance is an inevitable response. We will automatically resist the feeling. Frustration is a common emotional response to stress. When we feel stress, there it is frustration. When things are not going the way we planned it to be,
We will be right back.
Are you passionate to help other podcasters? Wanted to connect to growth minded podcasters and service providers? The Podcast Creators Society is now open for new members. Head over to www.podcastcreatorsociety.com/community. Are you ready to finally start your own podcast? Maybe you already have one, but need a podcast manager to help you level up. We're here for either. Book a call at www.kangaroofern.com www.kangaroofern.com.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show.
when we feel that we're not in control, we feel frustrated. In most cases, frustration is short lived, which means that it just passes through time or passes with time, and usually it also changes as the situation changes. But there are times when you find yourself falling short of your goals, falling short of your aspirations, falling short of inspiration and motivation. And that's where it kind of stays longer, it lingers. So it can have a long lasting effect. And it could lead to a more serious concern when it comes to our well being, most especially with our health. Since frustration manifests in many ways, most commonly it shows up psychologically and physically. So it usually makes us irritable. It can shorten our fuse. So when we're frustrated, we get angry so easily. Our judgment can be affected, and it may be very challenging for us to find a sense of purpose when we are in a state of frustration. At this point, you can ask yourself, what happens when I am frustrated? Do I tend to attack the problem even more? To be more aggressive? Do I tend to lash out on others? Do I tend to retreat or withdraw? Understanding how we deal with frustration is a good way of making sure we manage our emotions. It helps to practice taking notice of our emotions and to frequently evaluate these emotions that we have towards ourselves and towards others. Having more information about our emotions helps us regulate and better manage how we feel. So, how do you do this? When you are in the precipice of frustration, take notice of what emotions are present. Acknowledge the emotions you have and allow it to come, and just pause, breathe, and then let it go. As you let the emotions flow, you allow yourselves to see the situation in a better light, not in the brink of heightened emotions, which often does not work out well. When frustrations happen, stepping outside of your space and practicing empathy for yourself and most especially for others can make a huge difference when it comes to that point when other people frustrate you. And of course, finding a proactive outlet can never go wrong. Frustration is like steam, and at some point we need to let it out. So finding a healthy outlet, like as simple as a short breathing exercise, does a huge difference. That's it for today, pod friends, and I hope this episode sparked something transformational in you. If you'd like to listen more of Wellness Fridays with Coach Joy Karen, don't forget to subscribe. If you want to connect, you can find me on Facebook. Just search Joy Karen, the Creativity Coach. The conversation doesn't end here, friends, because it continues on over at the Podcast Creator Society. The link is on the description below. The Podcast Creator Society is a community of podcasters helping out podcasters in this very beautiful world of sending our message across. You can also join us at the Podcast Freelancers Hub, where you can share your services or connect with a person who can help you in making sure that your podcast stands out. If you feel that this is worth sharing, please do so. It will help us reach out to more podcasters and content creators who might be needing that spark of creativity, inspiration, and overall well-being. So again, thank you so much, friends, for listening, and I'll see you again next week. But before I go, let me remind you to keep on doing what you love most, because that is how you #sparkle within. Bye!
Are you ready to finally start your own podcast? Maybe you already have one, but need a podcast manager to help you level up. We're here for either. Book a call at www.kangaroofern.com. www.kangaroofern.com.